tornado.
What up?
What's up, everybody? This is Don McDangelo of SCScoops.com and several other outlets, but whatever. It's one of a kind, and we're live with RVD.
One of a kind.
Yes. How's it going, everybody? Rob, how are you doing, man?
Good, man. I'm feeling a little higher now.
Hey, there we go. Right? We're talking with Seth in the chat here over here, the guy that did your
Right.
I was like, why don't you get it on? You should get it on Spotify and iTunes and stuff like that. But apparently, if you do that, then it copyrights it, and then we can't use it. So, thinking about that, yeah. But
yeah, I was starting to wonder about that too. Like, is this song too good for us to keep just for our own enjoyment?
I know, right? Maybe we'll have to do a reprise or a different kind of version, an alternate version of some sort. But either way, we're live here, episode 37, and we have a good amount of folks in here already starting off. So good to have everybody here. Like I mentioned, BBDC, Jem the Dawn, Smiley Gardner, Greg Jacobson. There's plenty of the regulars here. Some new people here. Corey, I believe, is new. And then John Davis. I don't think I've seen him before, but welcome, everybody. If you guys want to ask a question, feel free to use the super chat. That helps support the podcast and get the episode cooking. And be sure to like, comment. That helps the algorithm and get things going too here. But yeah, Rob, there's been some crazy stuff happening. By the time a lot of people will hear this episode, the Royal Rumble will have already gone down. But the big news that broke today was the allegations against Vince McMahon, and a big report going there from the Wall Street Journal, and then from the allegations, it's pretty dark stuff. Just want to get your thoughts real quick on that.
Yeah. Well, I think it's crazy, crazy shit that's coming out today. It's been a weird day, actually. I woke up to finding out about the death of Jessie Jane, the adult film actress, and then a lot of people that we know are pretty bummed about that because they're good friends with her and so she's a really good person. And then a friend of ours, a girl that Katie does content with,
Musimi Max. It was on TMZ.
she passed away as well. Do you know what happened to her?
No, I don't know. They just found her unresponsive is what I know. But she's been with her husband for 17 years. They've been together.
Wow.
Here's a picture of us from the content shoot. There's me right there, and there's Musimi right there. That was her clothing line of like latex outfits.
Yeah.
Photo shoot for her.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
So they don't know what happened to her?
I haven't heard yet.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
happened, but it's been a weird news day though, for sure. Yeah. And someone sent me something, and then someone else, and then another one, a few different people. I still probably haven't seen all the pieces, but what I saw was pretty shocking. I can't imagine the Vince McMahon that I know speaking like that person that texted those messages. It seemed like it was coming from a depraved 17-year-old or something to me. So my first thought was, come on, like he really said like all that. And then, I know the belief is that they can prove it and that it's legitimate, credible sources. So it just leaves me a little bit bewildered, I can't imagine that, but I don't know how. It makes me wonder, like, these like billionaires that are like world leaders, what do they do for fun? Like you see these movies where they like let people out in the woods and then like hunt them down and shoot them. It's like a rich people's game and stuff. And if any of this stuff, is based on some truth, then I kind of make a comparison there, as far as like someone that must have like such a hunger for power that they need to control someone, and that's about Vince. I can't say everyone else that was mentioned would surprise me quite as much.
Okay. Yeah, no, it was very just reading I didn't read the whole doc. Apparently, it's a 67-page document that they did stuff, so it's a lot of information. But what the Wall Street Journal reported on was pretty allegedly heinous stuff, and so I guess we'll just have to wait and see. But I know that's what a lot of people is on a lot of people's minds, and it's curious. It's kind of a way. It's it's fortunate for WWE that like Triple H is kind of in charge now. And then you also have other news developing too with The Rock, who we'll talk about in a second, and stuff like that, where there's been a shift. And like a lot of this stuff is kind of like, okay, this is Vince stuff, but allegedly, but it's kind of like, okay, but there's a new ship in charge, and then all the news breaking with all the positive stuff regarding WWE. So it's going to be a pretty interesting news cycle, I'm sure, for the next couple of weeks, especially on the road to WrestleMania, in addition to all this. So we'll see what happens, I suppose. But all right. Well, we do have a super chat. It is Greg Brennan. He just chimes in and says RVD is the man. I remember calling him into this old radio show he had on his website. Yes, yeah, RVD Radio is ahead of its time. It really was, Rob.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Always ahead of my time.
Yep. But back on the Blog Talk Radio days, I remember.
Yeah. Those are good times. I don't know. I had fun with it. See you. Have fun.
See you guys.
Bye.
That was so that's good to hear from someone that's been with us for that much time, because that's an OG fan right there.
OG, way OG, absolutely. Well, Mr. Whisper chimes in again from last week. Katie just left, so sorry there, Mr. Whisper. But Rob and Katie, who out of the current culture of wrestlers do you see big things for in the future? Your personal faves to watch? I know Katie previously said before Trinity or Naomi from WWE, she likes her a lot. I know that, Mr. Whisper. But.
Yeah, she does. I don't know. I like watching everybody, Brian Cage. It's pretty awesome. I kind of like to watch everyone and try to learn who they are, learn about their character, whatever. But there's certain guys, I know when Penta is in there and his brother, I know they're going to be doing some pretty cool and amazing stuff, so look for that. It depends, I like to watch people, and I look for what you expect from them, I guess, Darby's known as the crash dummy now, right? So it's kind of like next, I'll be looking for him to see kind of crazy bumps he takes and like that.
Well, it's funny you mentioned him, because one of the news bits I had, actually, and I'll just go to that right now, is that Darby on a radio show mentioned that Ric Flair talked to him about kind of what you were talking about a couple weeks ago with Darby, when it comes to like him taking better care of himself in the ring. Here, let me pull up the quote though. It's on the research here. All right. So Ric Flair. So this is what Darby said on the Rock 106.1. I don't know where it's located at. Probably Georgia somewhere, because that's where they were at. He says, Ric Flair, a couple weeks ago, he came up to me and is like, Darby, you need to slow down. And I'm like, what? Wait, what? You're crazier than Mick Foley, he said. I'm like getting advice from Ric Flair. And he said, what's funny is people don't know how great I feel physically. I feel amazing. Like nothing hurts. DDP, who I know Darby trains with, also, he's like, we have to put you in a lab. They have to test you out and see what's going on, because you're not human. He says, I feel amazing. I won't stop doing it. Sorry for anybody trying to give me advice. All the people out there telling me to slow down. I can't and I won't. So he does some crazy stuff like we mentioned. And, well, Rob, when you
can't blame a guy for wanting to set new standards, that's really what it's all about. And that's what's exciting to do when you're on TV, when you can do stuff that really shocks the people that have been watching wrestling for decades, and you still come up with stuff that they haven't seen that makes them say, oh my God, what did that guy just killed himself? So, I get it. We're all show offs. That's why we're in the entertainment business. And he's saying he's got a lot to show.
Yeah. Well, I wanted to get your thoughts too, because back in somebody was to tell you that when you went to WWE or even in ECW, hey, you slow it down, you're taking too many risks and stuff like that. How would that RVD back then how would he react back then?
They did. They all did.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So JR told me, he said, you're going to see that you're going to have to change your style a little bit and be a little more choosy about when you're taking those crazy flying bumps and diving out of the ring and all those really physical moves that you do. And I said, no, this is what I do. And at the time I was saying, ECW runs like 4 days a week because we were not every week, but we did a lot of 4-day loops and 3-day loops in between at its peak. And so when I got to WWE, I thought, well, I'm ready for this. Still, the WWE schedule, it just blows anything away that you could possibly do. So I learned that through experience that I thought that I was on the road a lot and that I was traveling a lot, but compared to WWE and wrestling a lot, but compared to WWE, it just became almost every day. It was odd when I didn't have a work day and usually took that day to travel, but I did keep my style though, and I brought that back up to JR at a Cauliflower Alley Club years later. Remember that when you told me I was going to have to change my style? I wouldn't be able to keep up with my extreme style that I had set for myself by doing it every night on your schedule. And he said, yeah. He said, yeah, remember when you said that? And he said, yeah, well, he said, what you did was unprecedented. So.
Damn, Rob. Damn good work, Rob. Well, yeah. I guess the thing that could be in Darby's favor is that wrestlers today don't wrestle as much as so it's almost like he's not necessarily being, he doesn't take as many of those crazy bumps like that a lot of you guys did week in and week out, in comparison to, what they're doing now. The stuff he's doing is crazy, don't get me wrong. And he's like a skateboarder too, and some of that comes with its own share of bumps. So, that might be kind of the one thing coming in his play, and hopefully it all, he knows. A lot of people know their body better than a lot of others do, but hopefully it just stays that way as time goes on.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yes, sir. So, other topics I wanted to get to was the other news that broke before all the Vince hubbub happened was Raw, WWE Raw, going to Netflix, January 2025. What do you think of that move there, Rob? Raw's been a linear television product since its existence, and now it's going on a streaming platform where people will have to subscribe to see it.
Well, it's interesting. Do you think that they won't have any free shows on the other channels at the same time?
Well, so SmackDown in 2024, they're on Fox right now, and then at the end of it, once it turns to 2025, they'll be on USA Network. So they'll be back on there. So people will still be able to watch SmackDown, but you have to have cable for it too. So WWE's been fortunate to have Fox that everybody can basically watch if you have a television. So they won't have that anymore. So and then I can't remember where NXT's NXT's going to the CW, so there'll be some ability to watch it there too. But yeah, Raw's just strictly going to be on Netflix. So
it's interesting. From what I understand, it's a big money move for them, and something that everyone should be really excited about. I wonder if it will limit the amount of their audience. When I did my return in 2013, they had gotten rid of the pay-per-view buy system and gone to the WWE channel. So you had to subscribe to get the pay-per-views, and then there was no more buy rate for the wrestlers. And I got to tell you, for me, maybe they took care of everybody else that was there long-term, and I was just there for a few months doing a short-term deal. But it affected my pay tremendously, because when I used to be in WWE 2001 through 2006, the pay-per-views that we would do like once a month was a really huge part of what we would make for the whole month. You know, sometimes it would beat what I made wrestling the other 20 to 25 matches that month. And so for that to just disappear, and I can't remember if it was zero, or if he said everyone gets like $1,000 now, maybe.
I can't remember either, Rob. I know I heard something about. I remember that being a big kind of topic at the time when they switched over, because they're like, yeah, wrestlers get paid via the pay-per-view buy rates and stuff like that, and you know they're taking that away once the pay-per-views are just airing for $7.99 a month on the network and stuff at that juncture. So it was like it was a big talk. I remember that.
Yeah, I wonder if this will affect them and their accessibility the same way, because I mean, a lot of people have Netflix, but probably not everybody. And I don't know. I think people still that are older than me, my mom or whatever, she still wouldn't even know how to get Netflix on her TV. You know what I mean? And not that that's their target audience, my mom, but I just think free is free, and I think that that probably reaches a lot more households than it does the pay service. So it'd be interesting to see what that does
And
for the office and for the talent.
Yeah, and people are creatures of habit too. So it's like you're used to tuning in and just switching the channel to, hey, whatever channel USA is on for you, and there it is.
Yeah, at least they still get the same people watching SmackDown if they tune in on accident.
Right, yeah,
and stay loyal to that channel. The WWE hasn't lost anything, I guess.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if they do any kind of. They're going to promote the heck out of it, obviously, once that product moves over. But it'll be interesting to see what kind of crossover WWE will have, even more so once they're under the Netflix umbrella. So yeah, it's pretty. It'll be interesting because I'm even thinking about it. Like the NFL game, there was a playoff NFL game a couple weeks ago, and that was strictly on Peacock. It was not on a chip. You had to subscribe to Peacock to watch an NFL playoff game. And like NFL does huge numbers, obviously. But like this one got 28 million in comparison to another game that got like 49 million viewers. And so it was a significant drop off. But what's the cost loss benefit analysis when it comes to the long term of, what streaming is going to do for people?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
I actually, now that I think about it, I use someone else's sign in when I watch Netflix. So
do I.
That's going to be something, I think a lot of people probably do.
Right. Because again, I share it with my brother, and that's how we
people
watch.
Do that. So it'll reach a lot more households than they're getting compensated for, I guess.
Mm-hmm. However,
they're getting compensated, I'm not really sure. Do you know?
Yeah. No. Well, I know. I just know the deal is like it's a 10-year deal. But
one of Netflix just pays them like a
I think so. It'll be interesting though. Like I'm wondering too if like they're gonna switch away from 3 hours and just go to 2 hours because they're not beholden to like television ads. So it's like what does that mean? Is it going to be a tighter product when things come out? People don't have to watch for 3 hours if they don't want to. Maybe
3 hours too much for me personally.
A lot for me too. What is your ultimate watch time for a wrestling show? If you're on if you're watching what's the best time frame for a wrestling show to feel completed? You know what I mean? And not overstay its welcome.
Well, I mean, I'm gonna fast forward probably through some matches, and I think I don't know. I won't. For me, an hour is fine. You know what I mean? Like I'll probably pause it and watch the second half later or something. But it just depends on that's for me. It's not something that I get excited and look forward to doing like a lot of fans would. Like I do other shows. You know what I mean? Like I get excited about Road Rage, Road Wars, Customer Wars, Court Cam, what's that new interrogation cam? That's the most intense out of all of them. But that stuff, I get excited. Ooh, we got a new one, you know.
Yeah.
Or they're watching it. And,
What is that on, Rob? Is that on Netflix or is that a
no, it's on like it's either on ID or A&E.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think it's A&E, but I don't know.
I'm intrigued by that.
But that's kind of. But I watch those every week and look forward to it. You know, it's a nonfiction, like real life, real reaction, real drama, real people, and I like learning the law. But so, you know, with anything, though, shorter's better for me. Like when I'm going to watch a show, man, like 2020 has some great shows, but they want 2 hours out of my time, man. I can't give it to them. So I'm always going to pass that up. And then some of the other shows, murder shows, where there's like an hour, they'll split it into 2 different stories. You get a 30-minute and then another 30-minute. And ones like that, you know, I'm happy about, and I appreciate that they did that for me. You know, there's one that's 30 minutes. I'm trying to think of what it's called. They look at the cameras. See No Evil? Well, that's one of them. That's not the one I meant. But you get to learn how police put the case together and solve crimes in a way that's really interesting, from having just a little piece of evidence to all of a sudden looking at all the cameras that are outside, that are in stores or whatever, and see all the footage and put all the footage together, and then find them at the store paying for the murder weapons and everything, and all the video footage and stuff. I love that. It's so interesting seeing how they can put everything together and end up solving cases. And it's like, it's educating in a fascinating way to me. And it reminds me that we should all be aware we're always on camera all day.
Right. People are monitoring, and, you know.
I'm on camera right now.
We are? What?
Not only that, but Siri's listening to me. Alexa's listening to me. I'm not sure. Furbo is probably listening to me. And I don't know what they're doing with all that information. But every once in a while, they'll even chime in to a conversation, be like, excuse me, I'm not sure I heard that. Could you repeat that? I'm like, I'm not talking to you.
I know Alexa's done that to me too.
Yeah. It's disarming in a way, but I like it in a way. Mm-hmm. I like it in the way that it's helping us manifest the life around us that we want by programming things that are coming from our thoughts, you know, that they're shopping to us, which is good and bad. You know, I mean, when it comes to talking about business and stuff like that, I'd rather not have everything listening to me, every last detail. But it is like it's really just like I've always talked about, how you manifest things in your life, you know, with the vibrations of your thoughts, sending that out into the universe. Now, with this technology, that's literally what we're doing in this secular world. It's like the listening, and I sometimes I won't even be online. I'll be talking to Katie or D about something, and then boom, as soon as I look on Instagram, it's the first thing, it'll pop like right up, trying to sell me something because I was just talking about it. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I don't know where the lines are, you know, where it's a little too much, because we're manifesting. It's like not just the universal magic that's manifesting our thoughts into reality, but so are we with technology. It's crazy.
It's nuts. And Rob, sometimes, I don't know if you've had this experience too, but sometimes I don't think I even say stuff sometimes, but I'll like be thinking about it, like, oh, I need to get some like Q-tips at the grocery store or something, and then all of a sudden I see Q-tips and I'm like, wait a second, did I say
that does happen? Yeah, that to me, now that's happened a couple of times, and I do feel like that's crossing the line.
Right, if I'm thinking it, I'm not.
Yeah, it's too much, too personal.
Yeah, it's very strange. Greg Jacobson, yes, this is a Shad Gaspard shirt that I have on it. Rob has the same one too, so. And
Katie commented on that top of the night, first thing she saw.
Yep, pretty awesome. Shad was the man. He was the man. Let's see. Very good dude.
Rob, you're known for your 5-star frog splash, but some people don't get the star ratings they actually want in the bedroom. So, no better time to bring this up. Hey, this episode is brought to you by Blue Chew. Let's talk about sex. Guys, remember the days when you were always ready to go? Now you can increase your performance and get the extra confidence in bed. Listen up, BlueChew.com. Blue Chew is a unique online service that delivers the same active ingredients as Viagra, Cialis, and Levitra, but in chewable tablets and at a fraction of the cost. You can take them anytime, day or night, so you can plan ahead or be ready whenever an opportunity arises. The process is simple. Sign up at BlueChew.com, consult with one of their licensed medical providers, and once you're approved, you'll receive prescription within days. The best part? It's all done online. So no visits to the doctor's office, no awkward conversations, and no waiting in line at the pharmacy. Blue Chew tablets are made in the USA and prepared and shipped direct to your door in a discreet package. Does it work? Don't you think you need it? Try it for free for a month and see. You're going to love it. Blue Chew wants to help you have better sex. Discover your options at BlueChew.com. Chew it and do it, baby. And we're got a special deal for our listeners. Try Blue Chew free, Free, when you use our promo code. Guess what it is? Guess what? It's RVD. That's right. Promo code RVD at checkout. You just pay $5 shipping. That's BlueChew.com. Promo code RVD to receive your first month free. Visit BlueChew.com for more details and important safety information. And we thank Blue Chew for sponsoring the podcast. One of a kind, baby.
All right. Next topic also ties into the Netflix deal, or sort of a roundabout way, I guess, because I think they announced it basically at the same time. But The Rock has become the TKO board of directors, on the board of directors there.
What is TKO?
TKO is what Endeavor was. So Endeavor bought WWE, and then once UFC and WWE merged, they formed an umbrella company over that called TKO Holdings.
So is there still Endeavor or no?
No more Endeavor. It's just it's TKO Holdings. So once they merged, all those entities merged together, they became TKO Holdings, and Ari Emanuel is the guy that's in charge of all that. But The Rock's on the board for it. But part of that also news that a lot of wrestlers and talent found very significant was that he got his rights, the trademark rights to The Rock. I kind of forgot that he didn't have the rights to that actually, and WWE owned the rights to it. So. That's a pretty good move, for The Rock.
Yeah, that reminds me of 100 years ago when the Rock first showed the world the talent that he had by appearing on a Saturday Night Live episode. A lot of you fans are going to remember this. He was a guest, and he did so good. He was so entertaining. And he did the monkey character where he's like slapping his face and spitting and like food going everywhere. He was so committed to every part that he did. And it was such a funny episode. And it blew everybody away. And Siskel and Ebert used to be a big part of television. Like when I was growing up, they were movie critics, and they would watch movies. And, I give it 2 thumbs up. I give it 1 thumb up, 1 thumb down, whatever. That was the rating system, I guess.
Yeah.
Thumbs up or thumbs down. The one that was the heavier set one, I don't know if that's Siskel or Ebert.
Roger. That was Ebert. Ebert was the heavier set one. Mm-hmm.
So that guy, I remember him. I guess they were both talking about it, I believe. Now that I think about it, I remember what he was saying, but I think Siskel was alive, and it was their show. They were critiquing the Saturday Night Live episode that The Rock did, and they were just so blown away by his talent. And I remember the one thing that Roger Ebert said was that after seeing that, he was disappointed that there was already a movie called The Rock, because Sean Connery did one. I think it was about a prison, maybe Alcatraz or something.
Yep.
Sounds like it would be about Alcatraz. And he was saying that was the one thing he was disappointed there was already a movie called The Rock, because this guy deserved it. And then, so he was penned to do, or was already working on, or we already knew for whatever reason, he was going to be doing the Scorpion King, and like, boom, he just like took off. But as far as his name, The Rock, and him owning it, it makes me think of Ebert way back in the day saying, too bad there's already a movie called The Rock, because this guy is the next big thing. And he sure wasn't off about that.
No, he was not. He was not whatsoever. It was, I know, here, I found the image too.
Yeah, there it is. It was so funny. It was
so funny. That was I remember distinctly exactly where I was when that episode came on, and it
Okay.
was like they had it was I was in Myrtle Beach, and I remember watching it. You know, it's just a 15-year-old or whatever I was, and yeah, so SNL was great at that time too, and so it was such a big deal for a WWE guy, a wrestler, to be on that show, and it felt like very appropriate for the time period. And Rock nailed it.
Yeah.
So great. So
yeah, that was really awesome, and I think they also predicted he wouldn't be wrestling much longer.
And yeah, for full time, it wasn't that much longer. He was out of there for the most part. You know.
So that's really cool, though, that he's on board for this big company. Like that's amazing. You know, like it's hard to imagine looking up to the status and position that The Rock is in, and imagine, how do you move up from there? You know, like, besides running for president, where else do you go? And then when something like this, like, I don't know, do you say he's a CEO or he's a chairman, or
he's just on the board of directors?
Right. Okay.
Yep.
That's awesome, though. And doesn't he have a football team?
Yeah. So the XFL merged with the whatever the USFL. They just merged, so they're going to be a whole entity too. I don't know if he still owns part of that or not. If somebody in the chat knows that, let me know. But
and it wasn't a team; it was the whole organization.
He owned the whole league. Yeah. So pretty crazy. Yeah. Aside from running for president, I don't know what more The Rock can do to get like a bigger status. That's basically it.
You know who pinned The Rock?
That guy.
That's awesome. Yeah. That guy. Yeah.
That guy.
Very impressive, though, and I mean, and he's someone we can all look up to. His charm comes out in everything he does. So if someone doesn't like them, there's something wrong with them.
Right. Something that's pretty cool too, Rob, and I was talking about this with Gagne and Magnum earlier, was that you know, it's cool that Triple H is kind of running everything, and he's such a student of the business and stuff like that, and has trained with Killer Kowalski and had appreciation for the NWA, and so he's like has this tie to the history of wrestling and how wrestling should be portrayed. And then it's almost like Rock is a failsafe in a certain way, where he's on the board of directors and he's got all the wrestling knowledge and love for wrestling too, where it's like, you know, it's not like Disney bought WWE and they fired everybody and, hey, we're going to get a whole bunch of producers and whoever, you know, Hollywood people to come in and do wrestling instead. And so it's like kind of cool that we still got those guys in there that's still in charge and operating things. So.
Yeah. It's really interesting because for a few years I've been asked, where do I see wrestling going? Because it's definitely changed just in the last several years. What it is has changed. I think a lot of fans have noticed that by the younger guys compared to the Attitude Era, for instance. And if it keeps moving in that direction, I was trying to figure, like, I could have seen it going to where it's more like a traveling Broadway play kind of thing, you know, like, which I don't think would be good. But I mean, I was just trying to look at the direction and where I saw a lot of changes. But there's so much happening that I wouldn't have ever imagined by the whole playing field changing over and over again. And it's just cool because, you know, wrestling isn't about what it used to be about. You know, obviously, like, it started way back in the day being about one thing, and it was a real private secret society that didn't have to adhere to outside rules of society, of the world, you know, and just seeing where it's at now. And a lot of times I say it in maybe not complaining, but I don't know. I point out now it's corporate, work friendly, politically correct, kind of working environment where so it's not about that magic that it used to be about. Everybody worked very hard to protect that magic because they made a living off of it, and now it's not about that magic at all. And so it's interesting to imagine, like, if it does change into something else, like what is it going to be, and by its roots being ripped right out of the ground and moving and being replanted, it seems like that's a definite possible point of another direction taking place, and who knows what. But being one of the only guys from my generation that still moves, still wrestling, I still feel good and still do my moves, and there's not many of my peers that do that, especially like RVD, because nobody does it like RVD. One of a kind. But being in that position, having the knowledge and experience that I do, and still having the physical abilities that I do, I feel like I'm in a really good place, even though my place in the long run might not be about wrestling at all. As far as in the wrestling world or wrestling universe, if wrestling is going to grow into something else, I just know I'm in a good position, even if Trips isn't calling me, asking me to to be there every Monday night or whatever. Either way, it's like I feel like I'm in a great position that only good things can come from, and it does. That's why I'm still wrestling. That's why I do all the autograph signings and meet with all the fans. Like, I love that. So hopefully I'll always do that. And of course, I see my value and express my value there. But as far as the world of wrestling possibly becoming something different and stuff, there's going to be a need for my one-of-a-kind perspective somewhere.
100%. It's kind of funny you mentioned that too, Rob, because part of what I was also going to talk about was an aspect that kind of did hit a little bit of the news cycle too, and that was that WWE is reportedly going to focus a little bit more on the realistic sports element side of wrestling moving forward too. Let's see if I can find where I got that information from. Oh, it's up here. Yeah, here we go. So I think this is from PW Insider. It says, "We are told that the talk at Raw yesterday and at WWE headquarters today is that the company will be incorporating some sports-centric elements into the programming." Now, I'm not too clear on this. Maybe some of the chat can help me out with this, but it says Cody Rhodes being interviewed on Raw earlier today, complete with the clock listing the time, was an example of given trying to root the product into stronger realism. We are told that interviews will reflect this as well. And then on top of it, too, AEW, I know, is bringing back their ranking system, which is definitely has a sports-like kind of feel to it too, where it's like, hey, this person's more eligible to fight Samoa Joe for the title than this person is.
Who's doing that?
AEW is. They're bringing a ranking system back. They initially started with it, but they didn't stick with it very long. They usually had the top 5 people in contention for the titles. So they're gonna bring that back and make more of that a focus. So like, hopefully that might be an indication that the scales are balancing out, where it's like, yeah, you have those fast paced and people are really focused on the moves right now and the athleticism of the talent, but like getting that legitimacy back incorporated to it and kind of making it feel more like that sports product that it conveys, I think is pretty important. So maybe we'll see some good stuff moving.
Is that like what they're saying though? Because I'm not really sure from what you said. if that's what. Can you read that again?
Yeah. Let me pull it up here. So this is regarding WWE.
I think I heard. I translated differently in my head, but I was
okay.
halfway
So
paying attention. So
So this is, like I said, I think this is from PW Insider, and it says we are told that the talk at Raw yesterday. So this report must have came out on Tuesday, and at WWE headquarters today is that the company will be incorporating some sports-centric elements into the programming. Cody Rhodes being interviewed on Raw earlier today, complete with the clock listing the time, was an example of given trying to root the product in a stronger realism. We're told that this will reflect in interviews as well. So,
sounds interesting. What explain the clock to me?
So I think what they meant, and let me see if anybody said anything on it here. I think what it was is maybe Cody Rhodes had a previous interview earlier in the day that they showed, and then they must have showed like the clock time of when this interview was going on. So it was an indication like, hey, this happened earlier in the day instead of them just saying it earlier in the day. Maybe that's what I'm gathering from it. I was kind of confused at that though too, but the sports-centric term is what kind of stuck out to me in regards to, hey, they're trying to focus a little bit more on, getting the product across from a more sports-like feel. And that kind of makes sense though too, because I mean, TKO Holdings is like, very sports-oriented and focused. So hopefully that is a positive thing for
TKO or TKO?
Yeah,
TKO. What's it stand for?
I don't think it stands for anything.
Yes, doesn't it? Yes. Tony Khan.
I think it does. I think it's just like
Tony Khan owns.
Tom kicks opiates. I don't know.
Hey, I'm trying to scroll through here too on the chats, and Seth from Venice Beach Dub Club finished and loved the Celestine Prophecy, so that's fucking awesome. Good to know. Good to know. If you love it, like I know you loved it, your life has changed, and you'll see everything different now. It changes your perspective. But I want to get back to what were we talking about before the
realism?
Yeah, so sports-centric. What the fuck does that mean? Because like I'm thinking, I remember not that long ago. Well, maybe goddamn the years. It's hard for me to judge time. That's one thing. That when I'll be like talking about something that I think happened last week, and then I'm like, was that 6 months ago?
It's so hard to blend. They'll all blend together sometimes.
Especially after a week or two after that. But I just remember it was probably maybe 2 years ago now. Some promoting that I saw, and maybe it was for NXT, and it seemed like they were using a word. Maybe it was inclusive, maybe, and trying to make everything like that was their goal. Like it was going to be, everything was going to be like inclusive, and that was going to be like what they were aiming for, which to me meant making everybody feel like they're part of it. And they were showing what they wanted for Tomorrow's Stars. I don't know if these were signed talent or what, but I remember seeing things that I thought were so weird. And this is what I would have thought would have been sports-centric. They were incorporating, like, I don't know, a rollerblader, a kid that was a skateboarder, a kid that was playing basketball or something like that. Very ordinary, regular-looking, very young adults or old teenagers that were doing different sports. And whatever this promo was, they were going to be recruiting these kids and other kids like them. You know what I'm talking about?
Yes. I think you're referring to the NIL program that they have, the Next in Line, it's called. And so they go and recruit collegiate athletes.
Oh,
and,
okay.
They try to sign them to deals, like a 1-year deal or something like an NXT or Performance Center deal. So it's like, and they did. So what you're probably thinking is like they had like volleyball players from college, gymnasts, wrestlers, football players, basketball players.
Yeah, I didn't get it. I guess I misunderstood it. I thought they were saying this is what, this is who we want on our TV show, not the old wrestler-looking wrestlers, but these kids. That's what I thought.
Oh no! So I think they're collegiate athletes. So they're giving some of these talents that might not necessarily make it like in a bit on a bigger stage. You know, if you're a collegiate volleyball, a premier collegiate volleyball, the only thing that you could maybe do is the Olympics. Outside of that,
if you're a volleyball, you might get cast aside Tom Hanks in a movie.
Yes, exactly. So that's
you have a good acting career as a volleyball still.
Right. Wilson was I don't know how I didn't walk away with the Academy that year. But yeah, so that's kind of what I think, and they're very still into that because they signed that guy what's the guy's name? He was a gold medalist wrestler.
Kurt Angle.
Yeah, that's him.
I heard of him.
Gable Stevenson. That's who it was. So they signed him, and it's a couple other. There's twins.
I was thinking with the sports-centric that they were just going to be. That's how I took it, like not knowing what it was, not knowing what they're talking about wanting to do. I was just imagining them trying to incorporate all this crazy stuff that was floating around in my head from that promo. But it sounds cool though if you're talking about capitalizing on the realism of what it is, because there's so many ways you could do that. And for me, being a 30-some year vet of the ring, I always roll my eyes when somebody defends the realness of the business with an injury. You know, yeah. Oh, you want to call it fake? Then how come I got a big gash on my forearm? How come I got this many stitches? Because you fucked up, right? What does that have to do with anything? You know, except for the point that they're coming from where the dangers are real, or the risks or whatever. But for me, it's never been about that. It's been about the competition. I mean, that means you fucked up. That, you know what? You could be a backup dancer for Beyonce and slip back there on the wire and cut your fucking forearm. And it doesn't mean that that's real either. If it's choreographed dancing, it's choreographed. But yeah, the dangers are real. Yeah, you're dancing and you could slip. Same exact thing there, right? Mm-hmm. But for me, it's always been about the competition, because ever since I got into the business, before I got into the business, I wanted to be the best, you know? And I got taught by the Sheik and Sabu to always try to outshine everyone, try my best to have the best match on the card so the fans will remember me, so that I'll stand out. They'll go home, hopefully, you know, they try to make it so the fans go home talking about me, even if I was second match, you know, and there was 10-year veterans that were in the main event that nobody gave a shit about, you know, and so I always had that mindset. I always wanted to impress the crowd the most. And when I'm out there wrestling, it's that competitive spirit that comes out and is on display. And the way that it used to be, you know, sometimes, especially like in Japan, sometimes the level of competition was so high that we would literally be trying to not sell as much of the other guy's stuff. For instance, Sabu and I had a tag match one time with Akiyama and Amori, I believe, and before them, and it was the winner of that was going to be contenders for the tag team titles, and we wanted those belts. But guess what? Those guys wanted the belts too. Not on the script, for real. We both wanted to be champion. We both thought that should be us. We wanted that position. It was good business. And so before the match, and this is when I still listened to everything Sabu said. I mean, he's always my mentor, but this was probably 97, 98, somewhere around there. I don't know, but he said maybe 96. But he said to me before the match, he said, "Hey, you know, don't sell their stuff that much. You know, like whatever they're giving us, you know, try to keep the upper hand and try to keep them in our corner. That way we can smother them, take advantage of them, and let's try and keep doing quick tags so that we can be fresh and try to keep them in our corner and blow them up. In other words, make them winded and stay on top of them. And Sabu said, hey, anytime you see one of them covering me to try to pin me, boom, come in and make the save. Every time, come in and kick him in the head. And this is not what we were telling them. This is what we were telling each other because we were competing to that level. And I guarantee you that Akiyama and Amori were in the other room doing the exact same thing. And it showed in the match. You know, they did want that position and wanted to smother us and become the tag team champions. And that's the stuff that makes it competitive. That's the stuff that makes it real. You think that the guy in the ring doesn't want to impress the crowd the most, impress the promoter the most? You think everyone doesn't want to win the match? You think everyone doesn't want to be the champion, be in the main event, get paid the most out of everybody else? That's where it's competitive. And I don't give a fuck if you messed up and sliced your forearm. All that told me is that you fucked up.
Right. No, it's like, yeah, and that's what people want. Like, wrestling is a simulated sport where it's like, hey, people want to win and the titles want to mean something. And like to you guys, the titles meant that, hey, you're the best of the workers that have achieved that and want to get to that point.
I would imagine if they're going to be capitalizing on the realism, they show RVD doing his stretching before a match, warming up, throwing kicks, trying to get my energy up at the peak of the entire day. Like, boom, out there wrestling. That is the most intense part of the whole day. And, besides working out, it's definitely a competitor for the top energy expulsion. And just there's a lot, you got, bam, I got to give it my all. Let's go. You got to be committed and boom, let's be ready. And sometimes I'll be like, man, if I'm just not warmed up enough, that could go against me. Or if I forgot to stretch my hamstrings, what if I pull a hamstring? I forgot, all that goes through my head. So I'm like, I don't want to use the word nervously, but I'm seriously preparing to go out there. And that's the kind of stuff that's real. The guys that are doing the push-ups and running down the hallways or whatever it is, because they're athletes and they're going out there wanting to look like athletes.
Right. It's like, and fans want to see that behind the scenes stuff where it's like, hey, this is what they do to prepare and get ready and all that. And there's a lot that they could do to kind of convey that, to get that across on television. When it comes to like something like that, so like, was Baba in charge back then at 97, 96 at New Japan?
Yeah, I started for All Japan in 93 and all the way to 99 when Giant Baba died. He was my boss.
Okay, so what I was going to ask, so if Baba were to see something like that, like, hey, you guys are kind of blowing them up or smothering them in the ring and you guys communicated, like, would he be like, hey, that's not what you're supposed to do? Or would it be like, well, why didn't this team battle back and do their own kind of thing? Does that make sense? Like,
yeah, I get your question. And I would imagine it would be the later, I think that he would grab his guys and say, if we were able to keep the upper hand, for instance, I think his guys would be punished, and he would be like, how'd you let them make you look like that, man? They ate, they mopped the floor with you guys. What would you do? But in his own words, and I believe that would be his perspective on that if that was to happen. But instead, everybody is so competitive, they're just made for like a really good match.
Right.
We were trying to keep them in our corner, but they were trying to keep us in their corner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, what happened? What ultimately happened with that, Rob?
Oh, those guys got the tag belts.
Yeah. You drew a line in the sand, though. At least you guys established yourselves. So pretty cool.
I think his name was Amori. It was Akiyama and Amori. But anyway, the only other belt I remember being in line for there with All Japan was the junior belt. I had a really, really good pivotal match of my career at the Budokan with Danny Crockett. He was the junior heavyweight champion, and it was a title match. And besides that, it was the first time for them to even give me the ball and let me run a few yards with it, because they were very protective when I was young and green. So I was always in 6-man tag matches where they could tag in and take over most of the match. And literally, like, Stan Hansen could just grab me and throw me out of the ring and just come in like a bully and take over, whether I tagged or not, in the middle of my spot, whatever. He didn't give a fuck. And the Budokan, which was the big show every tour, that was always the one we looked forward to. Last day of the tour, payoff day, brand new 100 stacks of brand new $100 bills. Don't know how that was. Like, he must have got straight from the government or something. But I always did wonder. But that was my match. It was 95 or 96. 95, I think. Could have been 96. One of those years.
Available online. It's available online.
Yeah, Danny Croft, and I learned so much during that match. But the reason that I brought it up is that Sabu told me beforehand. He said, "Hey, don't beat him. Don't beat him." He said, "You don't want to be the junior heavyweight champion, because then you'll be labeled a junior for your whole career, and you'll never be able to shake it." And he said, juniors don't make top money. The main eventers are always the heavyweights. And he said, they don't consider you a junior. This will change that, and that you'll be labeled for your whole career. So, don't go for that.
Wow. So how about that? That's something. So did they offer you the opportunity to win that title, and were you like?
It didn't. It wasn't articulated like that. But through my whole career, I was kind of like just above the line, because they would say like 225 is the cutoff,
Yeah.
And I was usually like just above that, 230, 235, and so a lot of people would think that I was a junior, but I never was in the junior tournaments and the junior matches and stuff. Like, whenever that came around and they were capitalizing on some of those guys, they would not try to pull me in. So I was thankful for it because of what Sabu said. He was my teacher, whether it's true or not. And now, and I think it was true too, but now, it's changed so much that, being 230 pounds now, shit, makes me the biggest guy in the dressing room. And by the way, a lot of those 225ers that were doing the junior or lightweight or cruiserweight stuff, they were 225 with rocks in their pockets. So have someone like 230 stand next to them, you might have been able to tell in some situations as well.
Well, Rob, seeing you physically, like in person, you were definitely not a cruiserweight or a junior. That's for sure. But I think what else was I going to say? Well, it's kind of interesting because you look at like how the Intercontinental title was positioned. It's like, hey, that's like the workhorse title. And then that usually was the indicator that, hey, we have confidence in this person to eventually become the WWE champion. And so it's kind of an interesting dynamic. But the fact that it's like junior on the end, that's a pretty cool insight by Sabu to kind of think about that too, and like have that kind of information. So that's neat.
Yeah. So there was that match. I also had a match with Kikuchi when Kikuchi was the junior heavyweight champion. In fact, it was that time probably when I wrestled Kikuchi. It was probably that match that Sabu told me, don't go for that belt. Matter of fact, I think it was. And then, but then I wrestled Crawford before that. Either way, I hadn't wrestled that many times for the junior heavyweight championship belt in any company. And when I did, I guess I ended up doing a job.
Yeah, well, shucks. Well, I wanted to real quick circle back with The Rock getting his trademark. When you jumped over to WWE, did they try to acquire your name, like the rights to your name, and nothing like that?
Well, no, they didn't. I had a manager, a Hollywood manager that I used as a buffer to help me with my contract, and I ended up regretting it because the commission that he would thereby make was not earned, or even there wasn't even anything for him to do, and I was working so hard. I couldn't stand, like, well, once a week I'm going to a town just to pay him, like flying somewhere, getting in a car, hotel. I'm so burnt out. I need sleep. I'm stressed out. They're killing me. Politics. I was going crazy. And then, to think that was to just because I thought that having him was going to somehow be a benefit to me, to have a buffer between me and the office. There wasn't. He was back in his office at home in California, or it is somewhere else in South Carolina. And anyway, I'm on the road with JR, and with Bruce Pritchard and with Vince and anybody that I was talking to. I'm seeing them face to face. And so, for me to go back home and then have him talk to them, it was like they didn't want to do it. And I ended up also regretting doing it. But he had a long list of stuff that excluded me from their grabs, on the intellectual properties, anything I was working on, any stories. And I have a whole bunch of random things that still have never got finished, that may never get finished, and maybe they will, maybe they won't, and I don't care as much as I used to. But I've got scripts, novels. There's a list of things that, and it might have gone against me, that I have so much stuff that says, you can't own this because RVD already owns it. But along that list, of course, was RVD, Rob Van Dam. When I left, eventually, there was a paper that legal gave me that showed me the split of properties that they had acquired since I'd been there, and it was like it was something as follows: like, Mr. Monday Night, I own. Mr. Tuesday Night, they own. Yeah, the whole effing show, I own. The whole damn show, they own. And
Wow.
and it was like that. And they even sent me something when they were letting the patents run out worldwide, or not the patents, I'm sorry, but the
Trademark.
And so they were like, you might want to grab them just for your own protection, so other people don't grab them. But they were like, you had to get them in every different country, and it was super expensive. And I was just like, well, I'm gonna go with the good old fashioned what do you call it? You're a common law fucking trademark. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm Rob Van Dam. I've been Rob Van Dam for over 30 years. I can prove it. So.
Well, that's interesting. Yeah, I never really pieced that together. Yeah, the whole fucking show, or the whole effing show. That's more you.
Yeah.
And then, I remember seeing WWE shirts, whole damn show. It's interesting. How about that?
Which I like. I like that as well. I like using that sometimes, but it was split up like that. And I was like, I hate Mr. Tuesday anyway. Keep it.
Tuesday sucks.
Whoever said that didn't catch on.
No,
But the names of my moves, everything, it's all broke down. But so there was never any worries of that going in, because I was that. My identity was consistent with my intellectual property.
And they never tried to say, like, hey, do you think it would change your name going in?
Never. No, that's why I didn't want to go to WWE in 2001. I was afraid that they would give me some lame character and change everything about me. And that really bothered me, because obviously it's always been important for me to be myself. And I really thought that was going to be up for a battle. I thought they were going to just come up with some lame, who knows what. That's why I was even upset. I didn't tell them that I kissed Ted DiBiase's foot because I didn't want them to make an angle out of it. That was what I dedicated my life to become a wrestler, to get revenge on him. I could just see them doing something like that. So I didn't want them to know, anything like that. My dad told them when they were doing that behind that before they were superstars show that ended up also being on the One of a Kind DVD. But I was like, Dad, no, they're gonna make me look so stupid. But no, they didn't though. They respected what I had going, I guess. Or I don't think they ever, even though I don't think they ever understood me. I think everyone can agree that WWE never really understood me or why the crowd reacted the way they did to me.
Do you think it was a mentality too, or is like there's that aspect where they always just said like, well, if Vince McMahon didn't create you, then like that was always a slight against you? Because like the thing was like when Taz came to WWE and he got that huge pop at Royal Rumble 2000 and stuff like that, they said like that killed him in like a lot of the ways because like that was Taz. It was ECW Taz showing up and not something that was a creation of WWE. So.
I think they gave Taz another Z.
They did. They put another Z on it. Very weird.
I think that, yes, that has been a factor. Yeah, because and not only because of it being true in fact, they didn't create me. I'm someone else that came in, but also because I lived it too much. Like too much for them, meaning I was too protective for them, I think. Of everything stupid they wanted me to say or do. And I always just felt like I know RVD way better than you know RVD. You guys don't even understand me. Paul did. And I feel like Paul was always trying to explain me to the office, and that certain guys in the office that might have power now would have rather just passed on me. I'm like, well, I think let's look somewhere else, and that's the impression that I always got, and that others were like they didn't understand, like is it because he's handsome? We got to do some kind of romantic, lover boy kind of, is it because he's a surfer dude? That's why people love him, is it what is it that? And so I always felt like that, and I think that if they created my character and were able to explain it to me, that they would have been a lot happier than me trying to and them trying to fit pieces together when sometimes it didn't feel like a good fit.
Right. And it's like the way you connected with people is that you were who you are. Like if they tried to put a hat on you and be like, hey, look at Matt Byrne is back in WWE, right? It's like that's not who Rob Van Dam is, and you wouldn't have made that strong of a connection with the fans if they tried to change you. So it's like you gotta think, you're your own entity, man.
It's a really weird business where I was talking about how competitive it is and how everybody wants to win. Everybody wants to be top guy. Everybody wants to make more money. It's your job. Who in their job doesn't want to make more money? And usually that requires some kind of a ascension or escalation in your position. And then that's with wrestling, it's really no different, except for it's way the fuck different because it's also a balance of locker room mentality. Which says if you're talking to the office, you're a stooge. And it's like there's such conflicting opposite perspectives looking at the exact same scenario in the world of pro wrestling. So having been brought up by the Hoods when I was really young, they hated the office and anyone was a stooge that hung out with the office. Gary Albright hated anybody that would hang out with Johnny Ace because he hated Johnny Ace. Gary knew about Johnny, but he hated him, and that was his reason for breathing on the All Japan bus was just to go, I hate Johnny. I fucking hate him. He was like, and we would get heat, any of us, for even talking to Johnny. That made us stooges, and that's the locker room mentality, and that is still part of what we have now in this safe for work, politically correct work environment. It's a combination, it's a hybrid. It's like it used to be all that pretty much, and now it's not, but that's still there. That's still, that element is still there. And maybe mostly probably with guys my age, guys a little bit older, a little bit younger, but as the younger and younger guys keep coming up and changing what wrestling is, what it's about, then that's going to change as well. I forgot what I was going to say now. I started thinking about about how the young guys, when they bring, now, like, their whole agenda is different. It used to be about, we got this good thing. We're gypsies. We travel around, let's stick together. Let's protect our thing, get away from us. Don't look at our bag. Don't look, and now it's more about, I want to show everybody what I can do if I set it up.
Yeah.
Who cares? They know it's set up. They know it's set up anyway. So who cares that I'm taking 3 minutes to climb up and leaving the guy down there long enough to take a 8-hour sleep and hit deep realm.
Right.
But anyway, I got distracted from what I was thinking about. But guys, I know what it was. So if you look at it like it's I don't want to. This is how Kevin Nash put it, right? He said it's a business. As soon as you start treating it like it's a business, then you're an asshole. And something like that. I might be.
Well, that's what. Yeah, I think that you hit it pretty much.
Yeah, and I liked it when he said that, because what he's saying is what I'm saying. Like a lot of people that get ahead are guys that hoods would disapprove of, but so what? Hoods must feel just entitled just to have their job and just expect everyone to come up with programs for them and ideas for them to keep them relevant, keep them in their position, compelling to the boss, to the show. And really, if you got ideas and stuff, that's great, and that's how you get ahead. It wasn't allowed, from that stupid meathead locker room perspective that I was brought up in. It wasn't. So anyway, Johnny Ace represented that. He was office. That's why him and Vince are so close. And him and Miss Baba were really close. And he didn't care, but he had different values than the other boys. And he wanted to be office, even though he was wrestling, and he ended up in a pretty high position in the industry in the end. But man, Gary used to, would get so hot over nothing, or just Johnny being Johnny.
It's just Johnny being Johnny. That's it.
Unless there was something behind it that I never really knew, but he just, thought that Johnny was political and two-faced and shallow and ingenuine because his values were getting himself ahead with the office, not having the boys back so much, and it's like, hey, it made sense at the time, but, look, where's he and where's he? And I'm not saying that Johnny's in a good spot now after this news broke out. But look, what he did reach a pretty substantial status in the industry, and now, maybe he's in hot water, but Gary's dead.
Yeah, it's true. Gary, how old was Gary? Was he like 35 or 36 or something?
I
should look.
Yeah, I guess I'm not sure. Yeah, I guess he would have been 38 at the most. He was older than me.
63. He was born in 63, died in 2000. So that would make him what, 37? Yeah, 37 about. No, yeah, 37, 36. So, yeah. Ooh, crazy.
Young dude to die.
Very much so.
He was diabetic.
Oh, really?
Abu used to always say, "Man, Gary does not take care of himself for being diabetic because he drinks, takes pills, fucking party, stays up all night. The heaviest of the partiers, really, physically, and it wasn't. There was no like, oh, I'm just gonna get 8 hours sleep tonight, guys. Not that I saw anyway. And man, one time, we were in at the I think it was at the Ginza Tokyo Hotel, and whew, me and Bobby Duncan Jr. For some reason, we were inside Gary's room, and Gary was having a diabetic sugar dropping attack.
Oh.
And he was like, he was sweating, and then he was becoming despondent. He was not answering our questions, and all of a sudden he became non-responsive. And he just like, boom, just like laid, bam, he took a bump face down on the bed mattress. And Bobby Duncan Jr. was like, Rob, we got to give him a shot, man. Where's the stuff? And I'm like, whoa. Bobby, are you sure we have to give him a shot? What if he's got too much insulin? Do you know? I know nothing about this, man. Fuck that. And Bobby's like, we got to try, man. Come on. And Bobby grabbed a fucking syringe and he had it and he fucking pulls Gary's cheek out. And I'm like, Bobby, what if you fucking kill him? Like, what if that's not what he needs? And he's like, Gary, I'm gonna give you a shot. Is that all right? Gary, you need a shot? Come on, Rob. He's not in. And holy fuck, dude. I'm the only one alive that knows this story out of everyone I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Del Wilkes comes in. He opens up the door. I guess it was unlocked or whatever. And he starts like walking in and he looks over and sees Gary face down on the bed with his ass hanging out. And Bobby with a syringe in his hand about to jab him in the ass. And Del just said, he was the Patriot for anyone that's he was eating some chips or something. It was like, oh my God, I didn't see anything. He turned around and just walked right the fuck out. Yeah, that was fuck, man. Glad I could share that story with everybody, Van Dam fam, because Bobby's not going to share that story. Neither is Gary, and neither is Del.
Wow, yeah, that's wild, dude. That's wild.
Yeah.
So wait, so did Bobby give it the shot then?
Give him a shot, and then he came around.
Wow, how about that? Jeez. I know that's got to be nerve wracking because it's like, I'm not familiar. I mean, like I knew kids in school that had diabetic and had to take insulin, but when do you do it? When do you not do it?
Right. And now I know a lot more than I did then about insulin and your blood sugar, and maybe I could figure something out. I don't know, but I had never even thought about learning anything about it at that time. And I was just thinking like, dude, he's going to have a heart attack because his insulin's too high and you're giving him more insulin. And, but that actually is something else. But some people do that though. They get too much insulin. And then I think there's a backup of it because there's no sugar to keep the insulin busy it's not absorbed where it needs to be. So there's but anyway, hey, they're gone. And John Laurinaitis is still around. You might hear his name come up in the near future.
Yeah, oh boy. Johnny Ace, baby. Quite the dynamic dude. All right, so let's see. Jeb, I forgot to give this super chat. Jem the Dawn, thank you for the $5. He said, if you could be in any type of movie, Rob, what would it be? Lighting one
Porno, me and 10 gorgeous bitches all lined up.
Porno, okay, porn. What would the Rob Van Dam porn name? The name of the movie be? What would it be? Trying to think of a good one.
I mean, in order to do that, then I'd have to have a lot of conditions, like nobody could see it.
Mm-hmm.
Mom would have to probably not be around.
That kind of thing.
I'm not saying I don't have any on VHS around the house like that. I'm just saying no. Hold on, I'm not sure if I want to stick to that answer or should I think about it in a serious manner. As if would I care? Yeah, you know what? I guess really. I think it would be cool to do a comedy action, dry comedy, Leslie Nielsen, Police Squad type of shit, Naked Gun type of comedy with an action movie. Maybe They Call Me Bruce I believe, was kind of like one of those, but I would have a lot of fun with something like that. And so, on a serious note, that would be my choice and my showcasing. Show you the action.
Yeah.
If I could try and make you laugh, that'd be great.
If you had to do a buddy cop film, who would be your partner? Actor, could be an actor or a wrestler. Who would you want as your buddy cop film partner?
This was pitched a while ago. Sonny Ono was trying to get his guy, and maybe he was doing some acting, he was getting into some acting or whatever, but they had a buddy script for was it a movie or a TV series? I can't remember, but I was in it. It was going to be me and Dragon Face. Who's the guy, the wrestler? He's like my age. He hangs out with Sonny Ono. Sonny Ono manages him in real life.
Ultimo Dragon?
Yes, thank you. Yeah. I was blanking on his name. Damn it. So yeah. Anyway, that was pitched for a while that we was gonna. There's like over the years, there's so many projects that are mentioned and then go nowhere or go somewhere, but not all the way. And that's why I have like different scripts and novels and stories, stuff that I've written half of or a quarter of, or even like 90% of. And then it's like, I don't know if I'll get back to it or not. I hope so, because I know it's a great idea. People would love it. And I feel that way about several of my projects. And then the Universal, bring them around I rented an office on Hollywood Boulevard just to get this idea out of my head. That was for a movie, and it was something that it was so long ago that now there's other things that are kind of similar to it that I see where I'm like, it wouldn't seem as original, but it would still be very cool. And hey, I'm not even talking to you. Siri is fucking recording me right now.
Siri, come on.
Bitch.
Bitch, stop it.
I rented it and I never quite finished it. But I got like to like the end, like everything's coming together at the end, and now I haven't touched it in at least 10 years, and it's something that like it used to bother me, like, oh, I gotta do it, I gotta get on it, and it's the same thing like with my autobiography, like I might tell a few stories, jot them down, record them, whatever, and then man, a year might go by, and it's like it's not that I don't want to do it, but obviously. It's not number one on my priority, or else I would do it. That's how I cope with me not getting stuff done. But let's come back to that for RVD for 2 minutes of RVDology at the end.
All right. Well, yeah. Are you ready? We can do it now.
Sure. I'm just talking about right here. Like I know that people want to rush things. And it's easy to want to do because you want it and you want it now and you need it now. And I've been in that position so many times that I recognize it and I try to avoid it now. And so that's become one of my main values that I share with people a lot is like, you can't rush it, dude, because there's so many things like where maybe someone is unemployed, but they're waiting to hear back on this one thing, or or they're selling something on eBay and they're just waiting and and they're like, man, if that could only happen by Sunday, then I'd be able to have the money to buy the tickets on Monday, and bam, bam, and they want, should I call them again? Should I find out? Like, I don't know what. It's a bad place to be in because you're not vibing a good positive vibration. It's more of a desperate vibe. And I hate whenever I'm there because people that have seen me with the desperate vibe, they seem to remember that a lot longer than I would like them to remember it. So now even if I really feel like, man, you know what, this has to fall into place in the next 2 weeks. Otherwise, I'm not going to be able to do it because I got these other commitments, obligations. It's gonna clash. Damn, I need it to happen. Whenever I feel like something like that, instead, I'm like, you know what? As long as I'm doing everything that I can to make what I want happen, that's all I can do. Can't do anything else. So there's no need to worry about it. All I can do is hope, which is a positive vibration. Hope that everything works out. And a lot of stuff, it ends up working out at a different time that ends up being beneficial anyway. And then after I see the bigger picture, I'm like, man, I was wanting this to happen way back then, but if it would have, I wouldn't have met so-and-so in the meantime. I wouldn't even be able to share this with them. And it's a faith, it's a trust in life, in the universe, that things do work out when they're supposed to. And so, living by the seat of my pants as I do, going with the flow of Zen and just trusting what I said is how I live. So if you got something that you feel like you're really putting a lot of pressure, even though you've already done everything you can, stop with the pressure, take the pressure off. It's going to happen. It's going to happen when it's going to happen. And so a lot of people are going to be able to use that. I just know it. I feel it out there. A lot of people can relate to that. And it's true. That's one of the ways of life. You can't make things happen when you want them to happen, no matter how bad it seems like you need that to happen. Doesn't mean it's never going to happen, but maybe it never will. Either way, do what you can, line up all the factors in your favor, and then hope. And good luck with that. And so I hope to see y'all next week. Van Dam fam.
Excellent one, man. Yeah, that's something I factor in all the time. And
Yes, sir.
Very good. It comes in because, like, sometimes you put so much pressure on yourself. You're like, I got to get this done, or I want this done, and this needs to be completed. What can I do to make this happen? And sometimes you just got to let the universe pan it all out. So.
Yeah, in the way that I deal with my own order of accomplishments, if it's conflicting with how I would like them to be, I look at my priorities. Like, I would love to do this, my autobiography, before someone else writes it. It is very important to me, but is it more important than watching TV? I guess not, or else I would do it instead of watching TV, and that's just being real with myself. I would like to apply some discipline so that I work on it even when I would rather sometimes do something else. That's kind of what discipline is. But in the end, I got to rather want to do that, really, in order to do it.
Yeah.
It's just we always have the conflicting feelings in our head. Sometimes we only identify with one of those feelings and not the exact opposite, but it's usually there. And so looking around in it, for most of the things, I figure I must do them in the order that they're the most important to my whole being, to me, to my mind, my agenda. Otherwise, I would probably do something in a different order. And so keep that one. Keep that as a tool in your back pocket too. If you're questioning, like, oh, why can't I apply myself and do my homework at night? You probably really don't want to. It probably sucks. It's not your favorite experience of the whole day. So it's something that, yeah, a lot of us would want to avoid. We avoid things that are displeasurable and kind of instead aim for the things that we enjoy. Imagine that.
Wow, could you fathom that? Jeez. I can't wait to do my taxes.
Sometimes though, priorities change because of outside factors, like time, for instance. All of a sudden, like, boom, what? I got to have this done tomorrow. Guess what? Bing. Now it just became way more important to me. So now instead of watching TV, I am going to work on it. Things like that happen. And so you can try to change your priorities, but really your priorities are based on the level of importance to you based on your values. So I'm not sure you can really change that so much as identify with it and use that as framework to work within, so you can be real to yourself, true to yourself. And, maybe some of your values, you might look at them and say, wow, I didn't know. I thought that I felt more like this, but I guess I really don't. I feel more like this, that happens all the time.
Yeah. That's some next level shit right there, Rob.
RVDology.
Boom.
420.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Guys, if you like what you're seeing, you can catch it early on the Premier Streaming Network. The episodes drop. Also, you can go to rvdpod.com, which is right up above me there, and you can subscribe and see some clips and episodes on there. But we also have the debut of rvdtv.com, where you get the episodes every Monday at 4:20 p.m., and then you get clips on there too, exclusive clips and stuff like that. So be sure to subscribe to both, like and share and comment. And we have a pretty good time. Rob, it's a great episode.
By the way, we have all the old RVD TV episodes. I don't know about all of them, but a bunch of them. And as we talked about earlier, the RVD radio from Blog Talk Radio, we have those episodes up at the YouTube page. That's the Real RVD. So hopefully YouTube Chris will put a end card right there at RVD Radio, so you can just click it.
I didn't know the RVD radio episodes were up on there.
Yeah. Yep. Yes, sir. Man, when did we do that? 2008. It was a long.
It was like 2011 or 10 or it was 9, maybe 2009. I think it was, Rob.
I used to wait like 5 minutes before the app, and I'd say, "Shit, I didn't get no guests on here. Let me call Booker. Let me call Jingles. Let me see if they can be on it real quick. And it was, I never liked planning, and I still don't. But I had a lot of fun with it, and obviously I like to share insight with those who are interested in hearing it. So that's without the platform, I'm not going to be as talkative. But something like this, or where you've come to see me or hear me talk, then you get me opening up. But mostly I'm comfortable letting someone else do the talking.
There you go. That's the way to handle it, Rob. Well, cool, guys. Thank you for joining us, our live tune-inners. And then thank you if you guys if you happen to watch on YouTube later on, or you check it on the audio via Apple iTunes or Spotify. Please give us some ratings. That really helps so much. And we appreciate everybody tuning in. Rob, thanks so much. The RVDology is awesome. Really good episodes.
Sweet. Yep. I think my next advertised appearance is February 10th or 11th. I think it's the 10th in Queens, New York at WrestleZone. So we'll do, I think, one more show before that. And then I'll start plugging what comes forward from there. And who knows, maybe I'll find something to do to give us something to talk about in the meantime.
I like that. I like the sound of that, Rob. Hey, guys, we will see you next week here on One of a Kind.
Now with the flexible to boost my